Welcome back, Vulcans, Andorians, Tellarites, humans, and all other Federation member worlds. This is Trekyards. He is Commander Cockings.
And here's Captain Foley, the perfect, genetically perfect Canadian.
Maple syrup runs through my veins. So today we're here to talk about Prodigy, episode 15,
halfway.
Masquerade. Yeah, and kind of give it a review. So spoilers, guys, you know that. And
of course, a full review later tonight. Breakdown scene by scene. There are lots of small blink or miss it moments, so join us in for that and see what you think. So Stuart, what do you think of episode 15? And has the come down from the neutral zone Romulans moment, was it paid off well?
No. It was not paid off well at all. It was kind of underwhelmed with this one, honestly. We got a few good reveals. Yeah, so we found out that Dahl was actually like an amalgamation of like all Federation species.
And Klingons.
Kind of like, well, exactly, yeah. Like, kind of like the ultimate Federation member, if you will, which was kind of interesting. His genetic changes were kind of weird, but I know what they were going for, obviously. So I wasn't the hugest fan of that storyline. The fact that Captain O'Connor just kind of became a little bit of a coward and ran away bothered me. I kind of like the guy.
Well, are you a coward when you're facing 5 Tal Shiar shock troopers and you have 4 teenagers? I think that's not coward as much as Kobayashi Maru level.
Well, to leave the kids with the, I don't know. I just think it was kind of a douchey move on his part.
Douchey, yes.
I kind of like the character more than that, and I hope that's not the last we see of him, because it's like, that's a bad taste in my mouth. So
it's kind of a weird exit for sure.
So that kind of bugged me, but overall there wasn't so much going on in this episode that I really enjoyed. The reveal at the end was like, we've kind of talked about that a little bit. One of our lives, it was mentioned that Ensign Essentia's eyes are the exact same as Gwen's. I was actually from the last episode, somebody mentioned that, and I was like, oh, okay, could they be related? As it was kind of brought up in the live for a minute. So I don't know, is that an older version of her, or is that, as we talked about as well, another like a clone that could be a female version of the Diviner himself that was sent back as well. So it opens up more questions at the end. Like the last little bit was like pretty good.
The last 21 seconds.
Yeah, and the whole talk with Admiral Jellicoe was good as well. I really like the way he kind of laid things out. And it's good to have Ronnie Cox back. He does sound like himself. So there he does. Go. And to see that the vice admirals have the three pips in the thing, and he had the 4 as a full admiral, was great. Yeah, there's a few good things in here, but overall it was just kind of meh for me, honestly. But that's kind of where I stand. How about you?
No, I liked it. It was a strange episode, in that I was assuming that as soon as they get to the genetic engineered lady lab, there would be a bait and switch of, I think you know what it is, but actually Okuda's here to trick us and get something. So to actually explain who he is by episode 15, after just setting up who was important in episode 11, boy, these guys are burning through reveals real quickly. We had one recently as well, and then at the end, obviously, the extra reveal, like, they're not shy with progressing main story beats. It's like, where are they going to go with 25 more episodes if that was one of the big mysteries of the show and we learn it? So that was very interesting. I think bold is a good word. Eric Sung, the classic NX era Sung, that's a nice call out, because obviously all the later Sungs were roboticists. So to think that he was the guy, super interesting. I obviously Dahl isn't going to be 200 years old, so I'm assuming there was an egg, because they even call him explicitly an augment. So I guess there was an egg, a fetus at some point, and someone hatches it and creates Dahl in the last 15 years from one of Eric's labs. Super interesting. Lots more to learn. I'm expecting a Brent Spiner guest spot now as Eric, because why the hell wouldn't you, if that's his entire backstory is the NX Sung that was really great, and like, get him. You'd think that would make more sense. That's Alton Sung, and they definitely said Eric. Alton, Indigo, and Adam is a Picard past one. The present Sung is still robotics, mostly, because they're all synth organics. So that's not necessarily genetic engineering, whereas the classic one was. Either way, I'm expecting a Brent Spiner guest spot where we see flashbacks because he's now the creator of that. Great, awesome, bit weird, but cool. More story to tell. The end was great, although I really like the Trill. Sad face. It's just like my favorite Dauntless crew, and I was like, oh, but you're actually a baddie.
I do like the aspect of firing at the Protostar and then last minute diverting the torpedoes. I love that that's an option. So that was kind of a neat little thing for the torpedoes to kind of add to the torpedo lore, which makes kind of sense.
The setup in this one is so kids show, unfortunately.
Oh, for sure.
The hard edit from "Oh my god, Romulans" to "Doodaloo, Captain's Log, we're so chill" is an awful choice. It should have been straight to the Ronnie Cox scene with the Admiral. That's how you do, especially in binging. That will feel really, really bad. They obviously sublighted to a specialist station that is in torpedo range, which goes sublight of the Dauntless, which obviously has to fire torpedoes that can't be like 10 hours away from hitting. So it's got to be within maybe half an hour, which means it is literally...
They were in visual range. You saw them. Like, did they go into the neutral zone to go after them? I don't understand what happened.
So
there's no way they could fire torpedoes from that far away.
So there's a specialist sight station at the absolute 1 meter over our side of the neutral zone, which the Romulans also can't enter but do, which means they're in the neutral zone in the first scene, like we said, because they obviously aren't. And why would Okuda think it's safe to take us to a place literally that the Dauntless can see and monitor us from? And then to fire torpedoes at the range is so short, and also that's also breaking the treaty, which means Romulans would call you out for that. The whole setup was terribly childish. It's just you don't like torpedoes. I haven't got that long a range, and they said micro. They're not even full size, not even long range torpedoes. They're just like that. They should be like 5 minutes of fuel, and that's pushing it. Really weird setup of space and distance. Like they're literally in comm range. They're even in beaming range. You could probably justify. I mean, if you want to go really like, let's boost transporters to send a signal to. Very strange.
We also don't get the resolution of what happened with the Romulans and Janeway, because the ship is still outside the window when she's talking to Admiral Jellicoe
in the neutral zone, breaking the treaty.
Then all of a sudden, she's part of the special ops team that is going down after the kids, and yet the Dauntless is firing torpedoes. Like, we never got the separation of those two,
because the Romulans can shoot down those torpedoes if they're that close.
Yeah, though it's implied they're not, or they're cloaked. They don't care. But it's just weird. We never got the two ships going, all right, we're gonna do our own thing and then take off. So there was a few disconnects for sure for that. And
the second childish part was that of course they would leave at least one Romulan on the Protostar. It's a terrible moment when they're because I was thinking, okay, great, we're gonna have a cool scene on the Protostar. They take out the Romulan, maybe take one prisoner. No one's left. They haven't sabotaged it. They've stunned the two people on the ship to no effect. I mean, maybe there'll be a later subplot where there's a Romulan virus on top of the Diviner virus, but to hard cut from let's try and escape to, oh, we're fine, we're out. What do you mean? The Romulans you wouldn't all leave the process. That is the most advanced thing they've ever seen. Why haven't they really stolen it? Why haven't they really hacked it? My guess is that there's a Romulan still on board. There's got to be cloaked with a personal cloaking device or something, and I think the Romulans might be the solution for this diviner weapon that's on board. They might try to override it or something for whatever reason to control the ship or whatever. I think that's going to be a thing, but it's hard to say because you wouldn't leave the ship unmanned for sure. It was such a huge disconnect of editing. We've got to hope it's kind of like the guy in the escape pod. That's a later plot point, but to not even allude, there's not even a resolution to Zero was stunned. Jankum was stunned. They never didn't mention it. There should have been a scene where, thank God you found Jankum. Weird they all left the ship. I know, right? And now they fix the ship. Very strange. There's two huge plot elements of just disconnect where, again, now it's a kids' show, right? We have to suspend space, as in space and space, and time logic to let story happen when that's really important stuff. The main message of this for kids was, if something's too good to be true, it is. And that was the whole doll modification thing. Because Janeway said that to him, and then he said it before he did it, and so it's like a teaching moment, I guess. But just the way it's so disjointed in how it connects with the last one, it
like you said, on a binge watch, it's going to be awful. This, don't enter the neutral zone or you'll start a war. Dun, 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 dun. Captain's log. We're just doing a thing.
We can still see the Dauntless out the window. Like, we haven't even gone far. They're not even like hiding in the shadow of an asteroid with their power down. They're just, it structurally, it tried to do way too much in the amount of time they had. And they focused way too much on small things. Like the dial thing should have been an episode by itself. Throwing in all these other elements is too much. It was too much. That said, and I've said this many a time, we're starting to see now where old canon, you always want to see, TOS linked in DS9, Voyager in Enterprise, whatever. But I do not like one iota the Romulan rifles as created in Picard. And because they're canon, Prodigy replicated them faithfully. But they've now been forced to replicate a bad design into another show. The art designer made a bad choice, and that design's now living on, just like the bridge view screens, windows, just like the turbolift shafts. Like, if they had good designs, they'd be in here. But damn, I'm sorry, Prodigy, you were forced to do bad designs and keep them going. Because it's cool to see them, but also they're terrible designs. At least their armor was much better. Like, I really liked the sort of the new style, old style armor, and I respect them using what we saw in Picard as like, hey, look, Black Ops people, and they were better than Picard by absolute mile. But like, they're so badly designed weapons. My God, why just do better ones?
I just want to go back on something you said earlier too. The Dow being an egg thing. I don't think that's necessarily the case. All Soong would have had to do was create the genetic genome, and then have somebody discover the file 100 years later and reconstitute what he had done. So I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but
that's fine. But it's only a nice. He is unique, but also he could be made again. Like I say, if you have the file, you can make another version of him.
He's like the ultimate mascot for the Federation because he's got all these Federation member worlds in him. He's like the perfect Federation member almost.
Well, we say that, and yet he has none of it because none of his traits match any of them. So he's mostly human with everything else, but none of those mean anything. Which I certainly liked when he gained, ridges, and I did you've never seen a one alien with everything, which is certainly fun to see the actor try and, play with fake teeth and play with horns. That was really fun and very much like Enterprise because they've done literal things where their face shifts as we go. And I certainly was interested, are we going to progress that? Because now he has an on and off button in essence to give himself superpowers.
No, because they took it off.
But the technology exists is what I'm saying. Because he broke it is why it went wrong. But the lady was very clear it's easy. So he could turn on one ability from one race that was entirely implied, and the side effects were only because he overdid it and then broke it. So he's now got a case of, do we need Klingon powers in episode 19? Do we need Andorian powers? Like, that's really interesting, but also like now he's a superhero. It's weird. It's interesting.
No, I don't think they're going to go that way with it.
I mean, that's in the dialogue 100%. And they have a device that can do it. Just have to modify it.
I don't think they're going to do it, though. They're not going to keep... We need some logic. Let's activate the Vulcan. They're not going to do that.
But that's a very kid show sort of fun vibe.
They're not going to do that, though. With the way Prodigy's been written so far, they're not going to include something silly like that. I guarantee you they won't.
But I would think it would be more... We've learned how to stabilize it, and he can just activate it like 4%, and now he gains, without physically changing, he now gains bigger strength. Like, do it in a very subtle way, and it's temporary, Like, it's too much of a thing to introduce and ignore when it is that easy.
Well, no, the important thing is that he's like the amalgamation of all the Federation member worlds or whatever. And that's important because they want to join Starfleet. They want to be in the Federation. It's going to be a key thing at some point. Like, he's going to end up being like, on
the poster.
I don't know. Yeah.
On a recruitment poster.
Well, the good thing is if they find like an artifact or an ancient poster. Goddamn. If they find like a ancient Andorian ship that needs Andorian DNA, they might be able to extract some of it from his genome to like activate something, maybe. So there's stuff like that could work, but yeah.
I just don't want to think
it was a weird reveal, I think.
I just don't want to think it's a meaningless reveal, as in functionally in the story, like you say, unless a poster child. Or even if it's just, a way of getting us Eric Soong, especially as, he is a hologram-able person in the database. I would be surprised, but it'd be, Brent Spiner could entirely appear next week on the holodeck, and he could be in the lab and talk to him. Like, that's a scene that if there's a budget, like an infinite budget show, logically that's what you do, right? Because we would want to talk to his creator. I mean, that's what I would do.
I mean, maybe.
Why did then delay to learn who your dad is?
I can see a Brent Spiner cameo for sure, like either a data log or a flashback or even the new Soong from Picard. Yeah.
More Soongs.
No more Soongs. All right. Well, that's all I have to say about this episode. Comment down below what you thought about this episode. Expand on any of our thoughts. Let us know any of your theories. This is the place to do it. Or the better place to do it is join the live later tonight, where we can talk to you guys in real time. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell icon so you don't miss those lives, where you can actually let us know your thoughts in real time, so we can actually discuss it with you, more or less. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed, do all that stuff, hit like, and by all means, just check out our other content as well.
We do have many thoughts on this week, and we know that when we break down fully, there'll be even more. And if you want to support us directly during those lives, and super chat your thoughts, comments, questions, or just higher, or super thanks on any video like this, or the last one, or the last one, or the last one, or 5 years ago even. It's kind of whenever. Who knows? Or join us monthly on Join the Channel on YouTube. It's a button called Join. There are set tiers a month. Or on Patreon, again, any amount based on what you want to do. All helps. Thanks in advance. And yeah, look forward to seeing what the hell we think after a full review, Stuart.
Exactly, yeah. So, until then, he is Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.